Well, we know for sure a bunch of folks yet to be named will be indicted by the state no, the district attorney. The district attorney in Fullerton County is planning a slew of indictments. Primary target being potentially the former president. So, with this information in mind, we know that it's probably going to come within the next couple of days to weeks, potentially next week or the week after, sometime very soon. I wanted to address Fullerton County and DeKalb County and surrounding communities, but in general, the great, great, great city of Atlanta. We love Atlanta. Yeah. You know, my message is short and sweet and simple and to the point. Get ready. You know shit's gonna go down, right? Now, I have sources, big time sources, and they tell me they're plotting and they're planning. Yeah, so this is why I want to tell you all how best to prepare for this, what I would surmise would be turmoil. Turmoil in Atlanta. That's what I surmise. Because you know it's the agent of chaos himself, Donald J. Trump, who's orchestrating this. We all know. Now, let's do a little rewinding of the tape, so to speak. Why is Fullerton County DA, the Honorable Fannie Willis, why is she potentially looking to have a grand jury indict a number of folks? Well, first and foremost, we know that there was a fake elector scheme in her state. We know that the former president made a phone call to the Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger, demanding that the Secretary of State fine him over 11,000 plus votes. Yeah, just fine him the votes. An election had been certified, and he was still claiming that there was some type of fraud without proof that occurred in Georgia. And he was putting pressure on the Secretary of State, who is a Republican, and the governor, who is also a Republican, to just, because they were in positions of power, to orchestrate a partisan political move to just say that he won the state of Georgia and not his Democratic challenger. Yeah. So now that the rat has been caught red-handed in the trap, you know what the rat's claim is? Well, this is partisan. This is a witch hunt orchestrated by a partisan DA. Well, that's true. Fannie Willis is a Democrat. However, your original scheme, your conversations, those were partisan as well. So you can't say that the other person is partisan when your attempts to just usurp the will of Georgians was partisan based as well. So I don't honor that commentary that she's being partisan now, and you're trying to obfuscate the fact that you were being partisan then. So it kind of washes itself out, that argument. Because if you're going to claim that Fannie Willis, the district attorney, is partisan, you have to claim that what you did was also partisan. You wanted Republicans to throw out Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's votes, or to find you votes that didn't exist for you. You wanted Republicans to do something illegal on the basis that they were in your political party. Yeah. And now, the district attorney has to prove that there was some type of criminality involved in this. So she has a higher burden of proof to just go to a grand jury and try to get an indictment than you do to contact an elected official and just tell them to find you vote. She can't go to the grand jury she's convened and say, just give me an indictment. She has to present evidence of criminality, potential criminality. Then she'll have to prove it in a court amongst a jury of your peers. So she has to present evidence. It was you that didn't want to present evidence that there was any fraud. Because that's right, you were trying to defraud Georgians, which can be a potential crime, to defraud the citizenry of their right to elected representation. That can be considered to be a crime. We'll have to see what the indictments say. But we know that there are going to be potential indictments. This is a certainty at this point. Now, he made another claim recently that the district attorney, Fannie Willis, he said the young DA, he said she's a partisan and she's racist. Now, I looked into these claims that DA Fannie Willis is racist. And I didn't find any merit to the claim. Now, this is not unusual with him. I mean, if you recall, he said the same thing about the district attorney in Manhattan, Alvin Bragg. He said he's a racist. He's an animal. You remember all the derogatory things he said about DA Alvin Bragg? He'll be saying that pretty soon again, too. He's called the special prosecutor in his classified documents and January 6th insurrection. He's called that special prosecutor names. He's attacked the judge in Manhattan who will be presiding over the trial. He's gone after his daughter. He's gone after the special prosecutor's wife. But you know what? In court, none of that's going to be admissible. So he won't do that in court. He's only doing that shit show for the smucks, so he can continue to defraud you, right? Now, interestingly enough, Newsweek, just yesterday, Newsweek, big publication, they claim that if he's found guilty on any of the felony counts in terms of the January 6th indictment, that the folks that he defrauded are entitled to receive full compensation. Let me do a little translation for you all who are slow and in the back of the bus. how much money, since he started lying that the election was stolen back in 2020, has he raised from folks based off of that lie? All of that money would have to be returned, right? You have to return it in full to sender. Now, I know, and he knows, he doesn't have that money anymore. Oh, such a shame, Donnie. You don't have the money anymore. What did he spend the money on? Well, he spent it on lawyers defending himself from these indictments. Yeah, that's what he spent it on. And probably property taxes, living expenses. Costs a lot of money to keep a private jet fueled. Yeah, so he spent you all's money that he defrauded you, lying to you like he was going to use it for election lawsuits. No, he used that for his personal benefit. At least that's according to what the government, the federales, have alleged. Now, I know sometimes the feds can not necessarily be completely honest about a situation, but when it comes to Donald Trump, oh boy, I think they're underreporting all the crimes he's committed. That man is a walking crime scene. He's committed so many crimes, they've lost count. We're on 74, 75, 76 felony indictments. You all, it could be probably 1,000, and that probably still wouldn't be enough. Everything Donald Trump has done has been a crime. Everything. He's a walking crime scene. Yeah. And so 74, I'm like, shh. That's just what the government said. That's just the ones they know about. There's all kind of shit he's done. I'm telling you. Best believe. Now, if he has to turn over all of that money, you all, happy days are here again. Because then he's going to have to start liquidating his assets. Going to have to sell Mar-a-Lago. Going to have to put that private jet up for auction. All the golf courses in Bedminster, going to have to put those up. And I'm making phone calls to folks in New York, Chicago, D.C. The second I hear the word guilty, the second I hear it, the phone is in my hand, and I'm calling folks and I'm telling them, get that fucking garbage scum-ass name off that building. He's now a convicted felon. He's violated and breached the terms of contract. Get that goddamn name off your buildings tonight. They gotta start removing the letters that night. Period. I can't wait till I hear the word guilty. I can't do it now because you are innocent until proven guilty in a court of law by your peers. But boy, when I hear guilty, I can't hardly wait. I'm telling you. And you all, you make those phone calls too. Put pressure on New York to remove Trump from the towers. That's how he makes all his money, or most of it, by licensing his name. He doesn't have any money. The bitch is broke. How many times has he gone bankrupt? No, he makes his money off of licensing his name. And his name is going to be mud if I have anything to do with it by the time he's through. I want that family to not have a pot to piss in and a window to throw it out. I want them under a viaduct. broke as broke can be. Fuck Trump. That's my sentiment. Because I know what he did. I know everything that bastard did. You all don't know the half of it. I know. I can't even tell you all of it. Yeah, it's so... some of it you don't even want to know. Believe me, it's as bad as you can even imagine, and then worse. Yeah. So Chicago, you're pulling his name off that tower. New York, you're pulling his name off that tower. Washington, D.C., you know, the filthy District of Columbia. You know, this guy is a piece of shit. He eats off the cities. You wouldn't have shit if it wasn't for New York, Donald. I don't care if they're showing this. He wouldn't have shit if it wasn't for New York. And then he's got the nerve to disparage New York, Chicago, and D.C. But they fed you. So you never want to bite the hand that feeds you. The cities made it. Yeah, the cities made that scumbag. And that's a shame because the city should have kept that monster at bay. But they made it. Yeah, they made it. All this money comes from the cities. And the residents of the cities, we cannot stand you. Don't you ever show up here. Never. And that goes for Eric and Don and Ivanka. Don't ever show up in this jurisdiction. Ever. Period. And I mean that. Barron, Melania, don't ever show up here. We never want to see you. It's fuck all of you bastards. Forever. Eternally. Yours truly. Yeah. I hope they're all held accountable for what they did. They should be. They all should be. Yeah. So Fullerton County, DeKalb County, we got to be ready for this because Pandora's box will be opened. When those indictments come down, I'm telling you, you're all going to be surprised at who gets indicted. Oh, there's going to be some surprises. Fannie Willis, the district attorney, is going all out for her community, and rightfully so, because what they tried to do to Fullerton County, DeKalb County, because of who they were, no, he's the racist. You know, with them, it's always projection. Always. You just have to keep that in mind. They say gay people are groomers. But every time we look up, we find some straight, heterosexual, young white male who's been raping underage white girls. So who's the real groomers out here? So everything they say and everything, always, just remember that. Everything they say. That's why I say conservative. Emphasis on con. Because they con folks into believing that they're telling them the truth. It's always projection with them. Everything is always projection. He's the real racist. They're the real racists. And then they try to project what they are onto everybody else. All is strict in the book. Yeah, we know that. The folks that scream the loudest are guilty. Yeah. Because you let your defense do the talking for you. You wouldn't get out ahead of the case. Now would you? If you're an innocent person, you think you're going to run and start attacking the judge, the district attorney? No. Going to be like, I have a solid defense, Your Honor. When you get to court, you're like, I have a solid defense, Your Honor. It couldn't have been me because I was staying at the Ritz-Carlton and it happened at the Hilton. And they're like 30 miles apart. But see, he doesn't have a defense because that goofball is on tape. There's audio tape, Donald, of you demanding the Secretary of State to find you votes you knew did not exist for you. You're on tape like a clown, Goofy. Yeah, it's a slam dunk. It's a slam dunk case. Open and shut. And anybody involved in hatching the scheme, they're going down too. Yeah, if there was no audio recording, that's why they say, if there's no audio recording, it's hard to find linkage. It's hard to prove a case, but he's on tape. All they got to do is play back the tape to the grand jury. What do you hear in that audio? We've heard it. You can go and listen to it. What do we hear? You want to know what I hear? I hear him demanding, putting pressure, the President of the United States, putting pressure on a Secretary of State who happens to be a Republican to do something illegal. He's pressuring him to do something illegal. And he's steadily telling him, Mr. President, I cannot do this. Where do you want me to find you these votes? Well, you just have to find me the votes. Where? Now, all of us know that that's illegal, what he's pressuring him to do. And he called him up because he's a Republican. He figured, okay, this is a Republican to Republican. You do me a favor. If that ain't partisan, I don't know what is. And he's like, I took an oath to serve Georgians. There are Republican Georgians, there are Independent Georgians, there are Democrat Georgians, there are Socialist Georgians, there are Libertarian Georgians, and they all have a right to participate in their democracy. So I can't do what you're asking me to do. He stayed on that phone for how many minutes demanding that he try to do something that was illegal? Think about that. Got the nerve to say it's partisan now. I'm like, who made it partisan, bitch? You did. Don't try to act like this is the Democrats coming after you. No. You specifically tried to disenfranchise Fulton County residents. That's why Fannie Willis is coming after you. Because her community is demanding that you prosecute him. Yeah, she's not doing this of her own accord. Her community wants her to get justice for what he tried to perpetrate on them, which is to disenfranchise them of their right to vote in their democracy. Yeah. You're trying to disenfranchise the voters. They were going to seize the voting equipment. He was going to have the United States military seize voting equipment and just erase it. Meaning they went in there and they voted, and their information was not going to be tabulated and tallied into the collective total. He was just going to exclude Fulton County and DeKalb County. He said if you eliminate Philadelphia, if you eliminate Detroit, if you eliminate Atlanta, if you eliminate this, that, and the other city, then I win. Well, duh, no shit, Sherlock. In rural counties, if you eliminate the rural counties and only count the cities, the Democrats win. If you eliminate the cities and only count the rural counties, the Republicans win. Yeah, everybody knows that. So your job is to get more votes out of your particular areas than the other person gets votes out of their particular areas. That's how elections are run, you all. Everybody has known that, but that dipshit who doesn't know shit. Remember he said, I'm a stable genius. He doesn't even know how an election works. Yeah. No, far from being a stable anything or any type of genius. No, not at all. Geniuses don't get on a phone and don't expect that phone call is going to be tapped and you're the president demanding that another elected official commit a crime for you. That's not genius at all. So they asked the district attorney about why she's continuing to prosecute this case, and she said, I took an oath to do my job. Now he's gone into the gutter. He started sprouting off internet conspiracies that he's heard on the internet by someone you all. Let's just say this. There's a particular person on the internet who for years now has been spreading salacious, oftentimes unverified conspiracies concerning only Democrats. And this particular individual has been banned from even utilizing ride-sharing apps because of their perpetual, vehement hatred for Muslims. Yeah, this individual has said all types of anti-Islamophobic shit. The individual in question is a known liar. The individual in question pulls crazy stunts. Ran in a district in Florida that was heavily Jewish and got her ass trounced. Then moved to Georgia. Been unemployed for years now. Years. Not just a couple months. You know how sometimes they say when you have a gap in your resume, explain yourself? This individual has been unemployed for years. Long before COVID. Yeah, it dates back years. Moved to Georgia and is now saying that she wants to run up against Marjorie Taylor Greene, another quackpot. So you have a primary, a Republican primary, where two quackpot women who hate just about everybody. Both of them hate each other too. You know, Marjorie Taylor Greene, when she found out this other woman was trying to get a job working for Donald Trump, she called Donald Trump up and said, Donald, don't hire this woman. She's a liar and a conspiracy coup. And so now she's mad with Marjorie Taylor and they're in a cat fight. She wants to run up against her in her district. Look, I'm telling you, Marjorie Taylor Greene, as crazy as she is, she'll easily dispense of this crazy woman. So that's who we heard this rumor about District Attorney Fani Willis allegedly in an affair with a gang member. Allegedly, she had an affair with a gang member. According to a woman who's been unemployed. Yeah. Sitting on welfare. I don't know. You all explain to me how this woman gets money. Because we know she's been unemployed forever. Yeah. And so he's listening to internet rumors by conspiracy kooks to dispel a real credible legal challenge that he's involved in. And of course, you notice that he never really goes after what's actually been alleged, his criminality. Says it can't be the case that I committed this crime because X, Y, and Z is true. No, he goes after personal attacks. Fani Willis, she's a racist. And she slept with a gang member. I'm like, let me know if Fani Willis ever took anybody into a department store, into a dressing room, and sexually assaulted them like you did. Let me know if Fani Willis, Wall Street, Your wife was pregnant in another room in Mar-a-Lago, raped a reporter. Let me know when Fannie Willis, the district attorney, does that type of shit like you did, Don. I mean, I would, if I had the type of history concerning sexual improprieties as Donald Trump does, I don't think I'd necessarily want to go there. Yeah, that's going to be a loser every time. So, I don't know why he wants to throw all her dirty laundry out there when we know a lot of his is filthy as hell. But, go figure. Anyway, I thought I should tell you all the internet rumor came from someone who can't even get into an Uber. Yeah, this is not speculation. She can't use Uber or Lyft. Can you think of that? Who gets banned from Uber and Lyft? They might have let her back on Twitter now, but I mean, this is a person that can't even use a ride-sharing app. She can't even get into a vehicle without saying something disparaging to someone who doesn't share her beliefs. All the rest of us, whoever gives us a ride, we just make small talk. She's like, you're a Muslim and you blow up people and you should be in hell and you... she trips out in Ubers and Lyfts. Go and look it up. You know who I'm talking about. This bitch is tripping out in the Uber and Lyft. Uber and Lyft, when the Lyft driver and the Uber drivers contacted him and said, hey, please put this person on a no-rides list based off of these comments she made to us as drivers, and we just picked up this crazy bitch. We didn't even know who she was. This is a true story. Chained herself to the Twitter headquarters when Jack was in charge. Said, Jack, you're never going to pry me away from the building. This bitch is cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. So I don't know if I would want to be listening to that type of person. I mean, you won't even hire the bitch. Yeah. You're like, I'm not even going to hire her. She's that crazy. But, hell, I'll repeat her salacious claims at a rally because I don't like that. Indictment 4. We're on Indictment 4 watch, you all. 4th Indictment Watch. I'm telling you. Keep them coming. Keep it coming. Oh, we get to 5, 6, 7, and 8, 9, and 10. Superseding indictments are fun too. You can always add on more because if Donald Trump is around, he's definitely committing crimes. That's one thing that's a certainty. Yeah. Yeah, we'll definitely have a lot of superseding indictments. You have no idea. Everybody's talking. Everybody's talking. Everybody knows that, when you have somebody that you know is rotten to the core, and you're like, do I really want to go down the drain? I'm rotten too, but do I really want to go down the drain because of this person? You gotta stop and think. So a lot of people are probably talking. They're not gonna tell you they're talking because, he's like mafioso. He finds out you're talking, he'll try to intimidate you. He's paying for your legal bills, so you don't want to necessarily incriminate yourself. Yeah. Witness tampering. That's a real thing. The mafia used to do that all the time. Come to your house. Word gets out that you could be a potential witness to a crime that the boss committed. You wake up, you go out to your car, and you see a pig head on your car. Yeah, the mafia used to do that shit all the time. Witness tampering. All this shit in the books. unions in the union cities. I'm going to tell you a real trick. In the union cities like Chicago, this is why they call it the machine city. See, a lot of the kids don't know this shit, so I'm telling y'all stories that your parents never told you. In the cities in Chicago, when families ran the cities, all the city workers, if they suspected that a certain community wasn't going to support them in the election, I won't mention any names, they wouldn't pick up your trash. They would go maybe a couple streets down and pick up the trash, but your trash would stay sitting out there. Weeks and months it would sit out there. You'd get the point. Put up that yard sign saying you're going to support us. Then we'll pick up your trash. When they saw the yard sign, then they come by and pick up the trash. That's where the machine politics come in. City politics. City folks know. It's a dirty job, but somebody's got to do it, you know. I'm just telling stories. If the stories are not accurate, somebody will try to verify and authenticate. They'll come back and say, you know, this story is not exactly accurate. You missed this, that, and the other. You know how them folks be. But I'm pretty precise when I speak. I've already done the research, and I know folks. I know folks that know folks that know folks that know folks. And people talk. That's the way it works. So, you all, this whole thing with him attacking the DA, Fannie Willis, she's really unbothered by this. See, you have to know somebody like District Attorney Fannie Willis. I'm just going to say this. The vast majority of black women in America, this is par for the course for them. They get this nonstop every day. These disparaging remarks by white Americans when they're just trying to do their job. Anybody see the Montgomery Brawl where Dang Dang was just out there trying to do his job? Got punched and beat up on? People of color go to this, it's like, it's just another day in the office for Fannie. She don't give a shit about this shit. Yeah, she's racist, but yet, isn't there like a rapper, a big time rapper, on a RICO case? Yeah, she not only got the rapper, she got his homies, his homeboys. She did a RICO. You know, when they say RICO, everybody goes, Wale. We're out of here. Let me tell you what RICO is. You're in something. They got you. You go next to somebody. Now you're hot. Whoever they go next to, now they're hot. That's why they say the block is hot. They say when you get out and you come, people advise you, don't even come around us if they let you out. Because they're like, you probably snitched. And they be monitoring you, who you go around. So she did a RICO on black men. The thug life dudes. She RICO'd their asses. Yeah, they're going away in the slammer. They're going to do big time. So that doesn't strike me as being racist if a black woman goes after black people. Whole bunch of them. So I'm like, you know, he's got to stop saying these kind of outrageous and outlandish things that we can easily go and pull the record up and say, this doesn't have a shred of grounds of support to make these claims. The allegation that she had an affair with a gang leader who was a client. I mean, we can't verify or deny who somebody is in a relationship with or has some type of thing with. It's no, let me tell you all a trick. When somebody makes a salacious accusation against you that you can't dispute, it's best not even to argue it. Because you can't argue a negative. See, that's what Trump learned. He's got this skill where he puts out these negative things about folks in the society. And anybody with common sense, unlike him, knows that you can't argue a negative. So if you say, I didn't do it, then he can come back and say, you're lying. So you never, as a young person, this is advice for young people, don't ever try to argue an ad hominem attack. It won't work. That's what he's doing. He's doing ad hominem attacks. Yeah. As someone who did some brief, extensive work in philosophy, there's no supporting evidence to substantiate the statement. Socrates is a man. Men are mortal. Therefore, Socrates is mortal. Yeah. See, we can substantiate that by supporting statements. I can't go and substantiate who Fannie Willis is having relations with, nor do I give a damn. Yeah, I don't care who anybody's having relations with. Has she committed a crime? To my knowledge, no. So this is about his legal woes and legal troubles, and he's clawing for other people to be pushed into this like he always does. He has a knack for that. Whenever he's in trouble, it's like a Dennis the Menace again. Whenever Dennis was in trouble, Dennis the Menace, whenever he was caught, he would always try to get other people in that situation. So you take the pressure off of you. All the eyes are off of you. And it's on the spectacle that you create. Yeah. And then you try to slip away quickly and silently. But ain't no slipping away from this one. The feds got you. Yeah. This is the wolf. The special prosecutor, Jack Smith, boy, I got a street name for him. In the streets, I'm calling him Samurai Jack. Because you all go and read that indictment on January 6th. I read the full thing. Every I was dotted and every T was crossed. And then even look at the signature. His signature was confident. It was like, this baby is mine. I did this. This is my masterpiece. That shit was as thorough as hell. Anybody know legal? Talk legal to me. When you get an indictment is just the opening salvo by the prosecutor. There was so much evidence of criminality in that indictment. That's like a blockbuster in itself, that indictment on January 6th. And everybody knows that an indictment is just like 1% of the evidence. Because the prosecutor always holds back the real good stuff for trial. I'm looking at that indictment and I'm going, whoa, Nelly. If that's just the indictment, you can only imagine the other shit they got ready to go in the hopper. Yeah. And so that's why he's trying to delay this, because child knows that it's game over when that shit hits the courtroom. Because Jack Smith, y'all, go and read that indictment. If you read that indictment, it is thorough as hell. There's nothing left out of it. Yeah, I mean, he's got the goods on everybody. Yeah, I'd be panicking too. I'd say that kind of crazy shit too. Because it's thorough as hell. It's all there. He even quotes from his social media what he said on January 6th. Yeah, it's a speaking indictment. It's what they call a speaking indictment because they use your own words against you. Boy, I'm telling you. I'm calling him Samurai Jack because it's like peeling an onion. It's going to make y'all cry. He's doing it slowly too. He's peeling that onion slowly. It's a masterpiece. It's going to be a beauty. You all, let me tell you something. This is going to be history. They're going to televise these trials. You all, you sit there. You bring your children. This is a lesson. Bring your children and you watch these trials. You watch how they get you. How they're going to get a former president of this country. Never been done in the history. They're going to get him. You know, even after the Civil War, when you had the president of the Confederacy, and the choice was made not to really prosecute because Lincoln was more concerned about the reintegration of the Union than vendettas against a treasonous bastard who decided to secede from the nation. But this attacking the United States Capitol building in order to not leave the office of the presidency, yeah, he did that in order to not leave. He didn't want to go at 12:01 p.m. on January 20th. He didn't want to leave. They said, sir, you have to pack your bags and get out of here. So he orchestrated that on January 6th. Mike Lindell, Patrick Barnes, they had written up what they claimed to be executive orders, you all, wanting the president to declare martial law. So this was the scheme. They were going to create a situation that they knew was chaotic, giving the president grounds to declare martial law, meaning that he could stay in power because the military was going to back him. Only the military said, we're not going to do this. And so that's what the Proud Boys, the Oath Keepers, and the Boogaloo Boys were about in Virginia with all those guns. That's why he told them to stand back and stand by. Because he was going to try to use a private militia of white nationalists to terrorize citizens who did not agree with the undemocratic principles. And you know, there are elected officials. I'm not going to name them. I know who they are. There are elected officials currently serving who were also involved in this plot. Members of Congress, members of the United States Senate. They're a damn disgrace. Yeah, I'm not going to name them. But I know who they are. Yeah. It's really sad, you all, what's transpired. But he's going to be held accountable. Yeah, he's going to be held accountable. He can call people all kinds of names, sticks and stones. They tell you that as a little kid. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but name calling will not. No, nobody cares about these names, these salacious accusations that he's going around the country spewing to white racist Republicans. You know, he started saying all this in a heavily Republican community in New Hampshire. He can't even go to moderate or independent leaning areas of this country and say the shit he's saying. He has to say this to the most vehement of vehement Republican supporters. Now that might work in a primary, but do you really think with his baggage, and it stinks to high heaven, you talk about Pepe Le Pew. No, he stinks worse than Pepe Le Pew. Yeah, I wouldn't go near him with I would stay like about 100 feet away from him. He stinks. He's got so much baggage they can't even board it on the plane. Yeah, there's no way he's becoming president again. The reality is going to settle in pretty soon. You know, he was like, oh, it's great they delayed it to March and May of next year. You know, the federales, they're screwed as hell. The special prosecutor asked to start the January Mar-a-Lago document trial in December. The judge is like, no, we'll delay it to March. Feds are like, oh, damn. We really wanted this in December. Do you all really think they wanted that to be tried in December before Christmas? Everybody's on holiday in December. They want everybody to be watching that shit. They don't want any trial in December. Let me tell you something. You always ask for something you don't want because you know that the person is not going to give you the thing that you really want. I say I want 2 pieces of candy. I don't want 2 pieces of candy. I don't want any candy. You're going to say, no. I'm going to pretend that I'm upset and walk away, but I'm really going to be happy. Because I didn't want the candy. I told you and I pretended like I wanted the candy. Oh, this trick in the book. They didn't want that trial in December. It's Christmas. Everybody's stressed out looking for presents, spending time with their family. In Hawaii. Yeah. Now, March and May, March Madness. That's when people were paying attention to the basketball. Yeah. We're going into spring. And that's really the beginning of the presidential cycle next year. That's why I told you all, I'm not doing shit now. Really? Nobody's paying any attention to politics now. But next year, that's when people are going to definitely start paying attention. And you got 2 trials going on, March and May. That's why the Republican presidential candidate Asa Hutchins had that cell phone out and he was reading a prepared note where he said, I want to reiterate that Donald Trump should step aside and drop out of the Republican race because he's got some sense. He knows that this man is going to be on trial when everybody and their mother is going to be paying attention to the presidential race. And he's going to be in a courtroom if he's our nominee. How the hell does anybody think he can win a race? Like, he's like, you might as well just decide to just anoint the current president for another 4 years if you nominate him, because He cannot run for office from a courtroom. Yet it's not possible. The big lie has been exposed. His primary lawyer said he lied about those two women. They're suing him for every penny, and thank goodness. Yeah, those two women are suing him. New York, he's got a lawsuit. The state of New York, I think it's New York City or the state, one of the two, $250 million lawsuit out of New York. So he's going to have to go to New York, fight the state and Manhattan. Then he's going to have to make an appointment with Fannie. Then he's going to have to go to the District of Columbia. Then he's going to have to go down to Mar-a-Lago to fight the feds down there. Yeah, he's going to be crisscrossing the country, all right, from courtroom to courtroom. Look, we haven't endorsed anybody. You all know I'm not going to. I think you know that's out of the question that I would ever endorse that piece of shit. However, if that's the best the Republican Party can think to do, it's going to be a landslide of epic proportions. It's not even going to be close. It's not going to even be close. Because once people start hearing about all the criminality that they got on him, like nobody is voting in their right mind. I'm not talking about some deranged people like that dude out in Utah. I'm talking about people in their right mind. Nobody is voting for a convicted felon for president. Nobody's voting for somebody behind prison bars for president. Normal people, we're talking normal. I know what Marjorie Taylor Greene said. She's deeply unwell, right? She chases her own coworkers out the bathroom. Lauren was trying to use the restroom, the stall, and she went in there. Lauren, you know Kevin McCarthy gave you money. Lauren is like, can you allow me to relieve myself in peace, bitch? That's why I say you got two crazy bitches running in that district. The bitch that got kicked out of Uber and Lyft got banned from using them. And the bitch that chased her own colleague out of the bathroom. Pick your poison. Yeah, you all should do better than her. Do better than both of them. Come on now. Somebody said that's trailer park trash. No, that's worse than trailer park trash. Come on. There's people in the trailer parks that got more class than those women. Stop it now. Don't disparage just everybody who lives in a trailer park. No, that's trashy. Regardless of where it comes from, it's trashy. I would not be quoting somebody who's been on unemployment for like a decade now, who ran around the country saying that the former president of the United States has body bag count. Yeah, this woman ran around the country talking about the Clinton crime family. She intervened at a congressional meeting, shouting down a Congress member as they were speaking. This is somebody that's a kook. Somebody he wouldn't even hire. Now he's quoting from her. Bitch can't even drive and ride in an Uber or a Lyft. Think about that. You can't even, Laura, you can't even go in an Uber and Lyft because your behavior is that atrocious in the society. Y'all know who I'm talking about. Embarrassing everybody. You know, there's people like that in the general society. You can't be around them because there's such an embarrassment to you that they'll rub off on you. You're like, you're with this person? You're like, can I be invisible now so you don't see me and the person next to me? Can we be separate entities? Yeah, it's crazy. You have to really do something egregious where you can't even ride in an Uber and a Lyft. Like the entire platform has banned you. You gotta really be a complete douchebag. Chained herself up to the Twitter headquarters. Y'all remember that? She was like, Jack, you can't remove me, Jack. I said, this bitch is crazy as hell. Been unemployed forever. I guess there's some type of sympathetic, ultra-Orthodox Jewish community that's giving her money every 2 weeks or something. She might have a sugar daddy or something. Because I don't know. She's been unemployed for a decade. Close to it. Yeah, and she's got the nerve to be trying to call herself a sleuth and dig up things about the district attorney, Fannie Willis. Well, bitch, at least Fannie Willis has a job. Why don't you go and try to work at a Subway or something? Yeah, a Denny's. You know, do something constructive. Yeah. She's... You talk about cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. I'm telling you. And you know you have to be in the gutter and in dire straits as the former president to even go and want to regurgitate what somebody like that is putting on the internet. I'm like, yeah, no professional people are going to quote me. Come on now. That's not going to happen, nor do I want it to happen. You know, you have to, in life, you have to know your place. I'm with the fringes on the margins of the society. Now, mainstream people can see me, they can take things that I say and regurgitate it a different way. That's perfectly fine. I have no problem with my material being utilized that way. And it is all the time. But if somebody mainstream was to regurgitate me, I don't know about that. Yeah, that would, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I would feel about that. But at least I can ride in Uber and Lyft. Yeah, I haven't been kicked out of that shit. Yeah, I wouldn't get in an Uber car and start talking about how Muslims have done all kinds of crazy things to people. Like, bitch, I'm trying to get you to the bar. Why are you worried about what I believe? Like, a lot of people who believe a lot of things have done crazy shit. Newsflash. That's why I said the bitch is cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. She can't keep a job. I think she would go into Subway and say some shit in Subway that's inappropriate. Bitch is crazy. She just sits on her couch and claims to be some kind of sleuth. And the stuff she says can never be verified or proven. She's like, I got a source. Bitch, your source is Roger Stone. If your friend and only friend is Roger Stone, I feel sorry for you. Yeah. In advance, I feel sorry for you. So that's that, you all. Let's talk about Fullerton County and what to do. Now, we know that these folks are deeply unwell. And we know that they're deep into a cult. They're in a psychosis. They have a fever. And there's no amount of Tylenol that we can prescribe to break their fever. So we just have to deal with them as is. I highly recommend the wonderful people of Atlanta to make precautions for turmoil and chaos in your city and community. Yeah, he's going to ramp up calls for violence. He already is. He continually repeats the avocation of a civil war, which You know, if it happens, it happens. But, I'm certainly not going to fight any type of conflict over him. Yeah, please. If you all want to fight a civil war, please make it about something more important and relevant than that trash. Yeah, we have a lot of other things. So just as long as he's not a leading factor, I'm cool with how the cookie crumbles. But anybody wanting to fight a civil war because of Donald Trump, boy, you're a smug. Anyway, I do expect chaos because these people, they're deeply unwell. What I would recommend is everybody in Fulton County, DuQuoin County, get lawyers. Have somebody, even if it's just a generic NAACP legal defense, have that telephone number written on your palm of your hand. Have the telephone number written on the backside or palm of your hand. Write down the full telephone number. Put it in your cell phone too. Make sure if you see something, say something. You start seeing suspicious people riding around with American flag, back to blue bumper stickers in your community, Ford F-150 types. Start taking pictures of their license plates. If they're not in places where they usually would be, get license plate photos. Gonna be very important as evidence. Because we might not see who they are. They might wear sheets again. We know they don't like masses, but they certainly like wearing sheets. Yeah, white sheets, they have no problem with that. But a KN95 mask to protect them from a novel virus? I'm not going to wear a mask. That's satanic. Yeah, I guess it wasn't satanic when they wore those sheets, though. Yeah, and they still do. Anyway, we need pictures of license plates. Yeah, take a picture of the whole vehicle. That'll be good, too. But license plates, you need license plates. And then close off streets, too. Cordon off streets. Block all the streets off. This is where the men have to get to the front. Atlanta is mostly black and queer. Black and queer men to the front. Yeah, you're to the front. The women and children remain in the back. Sometimes these women are like, I want to fight, but who's coming in? The men and the queers can handle it. Block off the streets. Any streets that are main thoroughfares to your communities, you want to have people at the front and the back end of the streets. That way, if they come into the streets, they don't leave the streets. Yeah, this is how it's going to have to be. It's sad and it's tragic, you all. This is really tragic and sad that it's come to this, but we all knew it was going to come to this because of who we're dealing with and what we're dealing with. We know. Yeah. It's unfortunate, but it is the way it is. Block off the streets. All the streets. If we control the area, we need to make sure we control the area. And I mean that. It's about cordoning off and controlling. If you're in high-rise buildings, maybe put people on the rooftops. Yeah. Watch out with binoculars. Once this goes down, it's going down. We expect it within 24 to 72 hours once this drops. That's when they're going to start. So we want people on the rooftops with binoculars and then think tanks. Watching. Just watching out as watchers, night watchers. You all see Knight Rider, that car that they had, the futuristic car that would come out at night? Yeah. Night Riders. We need the night people out on patrol. Night patrol. This is it. Now, once the streets and all of that is cordoned off, anything suspicious, make an inquiry. Identify yourself. What is your purpose for being in our community? If the story doesn't sound believable, have monitors on your block. Contact the block and say, hey, bunch of suspicious dudes approaching. They say they just here as a ride through. What do y'all think? Tell them to go elsewhere. When you come back to tell them to go elsewhere, have them thank thanks. Come out waving the foo-fours. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Come out waving the foo-fours. Tell them the people on the block say you gotta go elsewhere. We don't trust you. Nothing personal. You could be okay, but you know, I have a concept. I don't believe in friends. No. We have enemies, we have foes, nemesis, and adversaries. We don't have friends. At least me personally. Foes, nemesis, adversaries, and enemies. Yeah. And I operate on that basis. No new friends. I've never had any friends. Foes, nemesis, adversaries, and enemies. That's how we have to operate now. We don't have friends. What are those? Friends? What are those? Where do they be? Never seen them before. Cordon off everything in the city. If they come in, make sure they don't leave. I can't say everything I want to say, but if they come into Atlanta, make sure they don't leave. Period. Yeah. So I would advise folks that if you think you can run up into cities terrorizing people, you saw what happened in Montgomery. That's a preview. People are not going to lay down and get slaughtered because you're in a cold and you have a fever and you're sick and you won't do what you need to do to get well. No, they're not. Yeah, this is it. We expect after the indictment, all hell is going to break loose. That's my expectation. They're going to try it in Alabama, Mississippi, Florida, Texas, Georgia, Tennessee, West Virginia, Arkansas, Missouri. It might even spread up north, so y'all be ready up north. We're ready up north too. They might even come to the west. We'll be ready to hold the west. We're ready. That's why I told everybody. I'm going to address the Red Army tonight. First time ever that I'll be giving the keynote address to the Red Army. Yeah, big address tonight. If you come into the cities, you will not leave. Yeah, period. The cities belong to us. We live here. You live elsewhere. Go live where you live. And you do what you want to do in your community. Don't come here flying the American flag. We're not about that. That's not us. Some people do, some people don't. It ain't for me. Because I know what you all mean when you fly. It's about you and just you. It's racism. Period. Yeah. It's just me. Queer people, you don't have a right to exist. Black people, you don't have a right to exist. Mexican people, you don't have a right to exist. Asian people, you don't have a right to exist. It's just us. So I know what the American flag really means. So you can fly it and think that I'm stupid, but I'm not. That's how it is, and that's how it's always going to be. Period. End of story. It is what it is. You can't change a beast, an animal, once it's agreed to a certain thing. I'm not trying to change them. I just know what they are. And they shouldn't try to change us because they know what we are. We're going to be what we've always been, and they're going to be what they've always been. And the concession is you stay in your corner and we'll stay in our corner. But because they no longer feel that they can win democratically, they've resorted to the last thing left to them. Their propensity for genocide and violence. Yeah, go and look at Europe. Europe was always violent before the Enlightenment age. That's all they did was fight. Kill each other. Oh, you believe in this. I don't, so let me kill you. That's all they've ever done. We know. If it weren't for the Honorable and great Martin Luther King Jr., this country would have perpetually and constantly been in violence. So they really don't teach you how great Martin Luther King Jr. really was and what service he really did to this country. Because this puppy is sick as hell. And he made it a tiny, teeny bit healthier. But it's still sick. Yeah, it's sick. And there's no cure for the sickness. We all know. We know. Real folks know. I don't care what they put on the news. We all know. You know how they say real recognizes real? Real folks know. I've been in this bitch forever, so I know the Americans. And I know the Americans. Yeah, I know the Americans like the back of my hand. We definitely know the Americans. I can sniff out trouble from a mile away. They're plotting something, y'all. They're plotting and planning, but I've already plotted and planned what I'm going to do, too. So they can think they're ready, but hey, I'm born ready. I've kind of been ready since the 15th century for this one. Sometimes you'll see me commentate on somebody and somebody said, why did it take so long? Well, we had to have the right conditions. See, I couldn't get to them folks until you all were ready to get to them. I'm not going to stick my neck out there. Ain't nobody going to be out there. Now, if you got some gusto and you're upset, then I'll come outside and play. We'll have it out. Yeah, it took a long time to kind of expose this. We finally got him, though. Hey, Fullerton County and DeKalb and Atlanta is victory. It's forever victory. And we're going to have victory from them. They can sense it now. Yeah, they can sense it. People are tired of it. They're tired of it. We the people, in order to form a more perfect union. So what this is going to be, that's what we're about. Now, I would advise, for everyone's safety, stay home. Don't do anything stupid. I would say don't do anything that I wouldn't do, but I do a lot of shit, so don't follow my lead. But you all stay home and stay safe. Donald is not really worth all of what you all think he is. A good con artist is gonna be able to con and fleece people into believing they're con, right? Donald is one of the best con artists that's come along in the Republic in a long time. And so he has an ability to con a bunch of smucks, generally men, into doing things that are not so beneficial for them, long term and short term. And so knowing that he's been able to meander and con people based off of hypnosis and all kinds of other tricks that he was taught. And look, I know, and this is why him and his folks are really upset with me, because a lot of the tricks that he perpetrates on you all in the society who are gullible, naive, and easy to deceive, I was taught those tricks too. I know how to do those things too. I just don't do them, because there are rules to this. But when you're dealing with somebody who doesn't follow any rules, who transgresses all bounds, then, well, it's gloves off. And so that's why I'm in this, to deal with him. This is not really you all. That's why I say this is not for now, this is for later. You will understand this. This is not really to deal with you all. It is, but it isn't. This is to deal with an element, a corrosive, toxic element in your society that you've allowed to spread and fester, and now it's caused a cancer amongst the general body. You're sick now. We knew this would occur based off of him. This is why we warned you all and told you don't go that way. But, you know, folks are hard-headed and stubborn. You tell somebody don't do something and they're more prone to do it anyway, right? Psych. So, this is the, somebody asked the question, is this a takeout operation? Like, to remove something from this society? Yes, it is. It's to remove the toxicity being perpetrated by men. Not all, but that's the element it's coming from. Now, this toxicity is trying to eliminate everything so it can survive. It's like a virus. It needs a host to survive. That's where this toxicity is coming from. It needs a host. And it knows that Americans are susceptible to this virus. So we're aware of this toxicity that I'm referring to. Because it knows the general psyche of Americans as well as I do. That's why this is a good competition. It's a spirited competition. You all ever watch Sherlock Holmes and Moriarty? Yeah. This is a spirited competition. The game's afoot. So know that they're trying to do something and we're trying to counter what they're doing. Because I know who they are. And they're not good for you. You know, sometimes people can even think something is good for them and it's not. And they can think something is bad for them and it really is. Yeah, it's a fact. So Fullerton County and DeKalb County, red alert. You're on high alert now. When you see this video onward, it's red alert. Cordon off your communities and get ready. Because we've got word on the street, they're coming. The January 6th folks, they're coming. And they're going to try to come into cities in the South. We expect some type of event to occur. All I'll say is we'll respond at a time of our convenience in choosing towards folks who perpetrate any attacks. An attack against one of us is an attack against all of us. We stand ready to defend anyone who needs a defense. For centuries we've done so. You know, if it wasn't for communism, we'd still have slavery and colonialism and imperialism on this planet. All three of those things were done by folks who claim to be Judeo-Christians. And they hate the communists because the communists stood up to them and fought them vehemently, diligently, and to the bitter end about the transgressions they were doing in the society. That's not to say that I'm a communist, but I'm just telling you what the history is. Slavery, colonialism, and imperialism. Anglo-Saxon Judeo-Christians presented those ideologies and that toxicity to this planet. And communism stood up and fought against it. We're great now again. Yeah, we're great now again. And we're always great because of our people. Not because of ideologies and flags. No, because of our people. That's why we're great.